Nestled in the Kettle Moraine region of Wisconsin lies one of North America's premier road racing circuits. Back when racing happened on the streets of Elkhart Lake, cars wove through streets nearby the lake shaped like an elk's heart until the mid-1950s. When racing on public roads was banned, the show moved just a few miles away to a permanent facility built in 1955. Since then, it's changed very little. It's a place rich with history, just like Porsche. So it's a fitting combination for round number 6 of the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada. Welcome to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and welcome to the National Park of Speed in the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada. Round number 6, I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by DJ Clark. DJ, welcome back. There are 3 rounds remaining in this championship, and this is one of my personal favorite circuits. I'm sure it's high on the list for you as well.
Oh, it most certainly is. Kyle, when you talk about road racing in North America, you say in the same breath, Road America. This place is a holy ground of speed. It is absolutely fantastic. Plenty of overtaking opportunities at virtually every corner of this track. Plenty of places to get it wrong and to catch you out if you're not careful. This is fun, this is fast, and I have never seen a bad race from this circuit.
Certainly not. And again, this is one of the few racetracks in North America that retains its original as-paved configuration. It's effectively changed none, just the addition of a couple paved runoffs, a couple walls moved, a couple bridges turned into tunnels, but fundamentally it's the same track that was built in 1955, and it even retains some of the original track width in some places, which was 18 feet times 2, because that was the width of the paver that originally paved the racetrack, 36 feet from edge to edge. Let's have a look here at the 14 turns at Road America, DJ. It all starts with that run down to turn number 1. It's a pretty flat front straight when you're at the start-finish line, but a gentle downhill into turn 2, which is really just a kink, then into turn 3. That will lead you onto the back straightaway. That is a critical corner. Then turn 4 doesn't really exist, but turn 5, that's a critical passing opportunity here at Road America.
Yeah, that is, and it's very tricky to get right. You're coming downhill at that point, so easy to lock up the front brakes, and then coming up the hill into turn 6 just is tricky there to be able to get right. From there, we head on down into the hurry downs, bringing your way around into the carousel, and then down through turn 11. Arguably the most famous and most dangerous corner on this circuit, the kink. Taken flat out. You've got to be very, very careful, though, through there. You dip a single tire off into the grass, and it's day done.
Yeah, it will certainly get you into trouble. Well, then you head into turn number 12, Canada Corner. That's the northernmost turn on this circuit. Turn 13, Billy Mitchell Bend. Then turn 14, that is the final turn on this 14-turn, 4-mile circuit. It is a long racetrack with lap times well over 2 minutes here for these Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars. These are the 992 generation cars. Before we get into qualifying here, let's have a look at our season standings as things are coming in. It's Porsche Center Lausanne on top with Antoine Lacharité with 416 points, leading by 51 over Racine Fizui for Porsche Center Rive Sud. A little bit of drama post-race after our round 5 at Spa-Francorchamps. DJ, a little bit of contact there, but a pretty good lead that Lacharité and Porsche Center Lausanne have established.
Yeah, they're going to be able to hold on to that, but what's really got me interested here, Kyle, is that battle for the final podium position in the championship. Guillaume Levesque and Phil Bouchard only separated by about 5 points. That's going to be a very, very fascinating battle to see how that plays out. We've also got a tight one there with Matt Adams and Ian Gagnon-Renault. They're back for 6th place, only about 7 points separating those two. So even though Lacharité may have an advantage over the rest of this field, it's still anybody's game for the rest of these positions.
And Suelio made a miss last week for Porsche Center Markham, but he should be back here this week. We'll keep an eye on him and teammate Alex Ellis. Here's a look at the rest of the standings here. Down to 20th, Justin Ream for Porsche Center Calgary. Lots of teams and drivers participating. Over 40 entered here tonight. And some of the drivers that we mentioned before. How about Phil Bouchard in his car? He's got their Porsche Center Rive Sud. They've got an event going on tonight, and we've got a little bit of footage there, so we can kind of keep an eye on them throughout the evening. Really cool shot there overlooking the facility at Porsche Center Rive Sud.
Yeah, we absolutely love seeing this. These Porsche Centers, obviously kind of the new addition into this year, replacing teams as it were, and seeing the live activation, absolutely incredible. Seeing a couple of people waving on the camera there, great to be able to see you, great to be able to have you, and thank you for your support.
Absolutely. Again, this is a really cool shot. There's Phil giving the wave as well, and of course we can't go here without mentioning Racine Fazui, who is very, very focused right now. We are in the middle of qualifying, DJ, and this is going to set the order for the first of our 2 races tonight, 15 minutes and then 30 minutes, which means 45 total minutes of racing, and every minute is absolutely critical. We've seen, though, that race 2, moving up after that 10-driver invert, has been an extraordinary challenge. So you got to run well in both races, and even if you win race 1, you've got a little bit of work on your plate for that second race.
You certainly do, but I have to say Road America is one of those circuits where even if you start 10th or 15th in the opening round even, you can find ways to be able to bring your way up through the field if you've got the race pace to do so. This is a track that just promotes overtaking left, right, and center. You have the traditional sort of overtaking zones down into turn 5, down into turn 8, and down into Canada Corner. But really and truly, I have seen moves pulled on every single slight curve of this track, and I think today is going to be no different.
165 miles an hour for Bouchard on the binders there into turn number 5. He's got his teammate, Racine Fazui, right behind him in the number 58. Currently scored 20th and 21st. Plenty of time here to get some more laps in qualifying, but as we know, you don't just get to reset here in the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada. You have to go back down pit lane and reset your car. So you're not going to get that many laps. Those that have gotten pretty good laps so far, some efficient ones at least. Andrew Caron in the 06 leads the way for Porsche Center Halifax. See him lead the way right now, and that best time he's got is a 2:07.756. 0.3 better. No longer. Antoine Lacharité, top of the board, 2:07.208.
Great time there for Antoine, and he's going to be doing exactly what I anticipate a lot of drivers doing here today, and that's picking up a little bit of a draft off of their teammate. That's Guillaume Levesque right up ahead of him that as they drive, and those two drivers are going to be in communication with each other. They both drive for that Porsche Center Lausanne, and so as they are able to communicate, as they are able to pull the draft off of one another, that's just going to help to decrease your lap times.
This is a place where the draft is really important. You have these long straightaways from turn 14 to turn 1 and turn 3 to turn 5. And you can just get in that slipstream and it's going to tow you along, gain you 3 to 5, maybe up to 8 extra miles an hour. We'll keep an eye on that throughout qualifying and in the races tonight. Once race time comes, though, DJ, one of the big challenges we're going to talk about is braking into turn 5, into turn 8, into Canada Corner, all the places you mentioned. Great passing opportunities, and the reason why is because the braking zones are so long and you don't have anti-lock braking systems enabled on this car in this championship, so that means that locking up and blowing past a corner is really easy to do.
Well, and I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, but I think the main zone we're going to see that in is down into turn 5. As I said, that's a pretty heavy downhill braking zone that puts a lot of weight on the front tires, and it's just going to increase the chances that you can lock up those fronts and overshoot the braking zone. So you've got to be very, very careful there. And then as well, down into Canada Corner, it's a little bit deceptive just how fast you're going, and you always think you can brake a little bit later because the corner itself is a little bit wider than 90 degrees. It looks like you should be able to sweep through it. There's plenty of off track that you can go on and be able to pick up speed around, but you've really got to brake hard down into that corner to make sure you get it right.
Twilio made it to the top of the board at a 2:07 flat, and for Porsche Center Markham, and he has a little bit of work to do. He's 10th in the championship. Again, he missed last week at Spa-Francorchamps. He was down in Miami doing some content that we should hopefully see if we haven't seen it already. I admittedly haven't checked in on it, but he was down there, not here. He's back competing this week, and here's a driver that we have had to keep our eye on all season long that has been in the context of race 2 many times. Vincent Trepanier in the number 87 for Porsche Center Edmonton. He has been in the mix and fighting hard for wins.
Yeah, he really and truly has. He hasn't necessarily flashed a lot of a brilliant pace in that first race, but when the invert happens, as you said, Kyle, he is a brilliant defensive driver and has been able to keep everybody behind him to a pretty impressive degree. So watch out for that 87. I'm going to be keeping an eye on race 1, where he ends up in terms of that invert and just how well he's going to be able to manage keeping the other drivers at bay.
Saw them work through the kink there, and then this is Canada Corner, the northernmost turn on the circuit. Another great passing opportunity, but it's really tight here on exit. There's a car off track. That's the 000 car of Nikki Chan that has found their way off track. Let's see if we can have a look at what happened to the 000. And on the brakes here, turns in and throttles up, and we'll probably grab, oh, he was already loose. But you can grab the gravel on corner exit there pretty easily as well, and that will cause you to spin. But that will just pause Chan's qualifying effort for the moment. as other drivers improving and working on their lap. How about Gregory Hoveson in the number 15? This is a strong effort for the number 15. Right now, currently 8th for Porsche Center Halifax. And he's got his teammate Andrew Caron not that far up ahead of him, P5 right now.
Yeah, some good running here for Hoveson, and a little bit of love here for him in the Twitch chat. If you are listening in on the Twitch chat, make sure you say hi. We are checking it, so we'd love to hear what you got to say. But yeah, Hoveson not necessarily having the best of seasons, but this Road America circuit, Kyle, because it is so long, because it is so expansive, and because it frankly has so many different types of corners, it oftentimes proves as a little bit of a test bed for sim racers. So you find drivers that are a little bit of Road America experts, and I've got a sneaking suspicion here that Gregory may be one of those.
Yeah, he certainly could be. And I've always heard drivers describe Road America as two different racetracks. Those that look at it from a high level, I didn't mean this literally, but when you look at it from a high level, you know it's fast, you know that it's pretty point and shoot. But if we take a look at this racetrack, the first sector, that straightaway that's way at the top of the shot there, it is all a power racetrack. It's all about how you get off of corners and how much speed you carry to the end of the straight, slipstreaming, drafting. But then you get to turn 5 really through 12, and then it turns into a momentum course where you're trying to carry speed through corners because the corners are so slow, and it really turns into a handling section where maybe your exit speed doesn't matter quite as much, but your entry and mid-corner speed certainly does because a handful of your passing opportunities are in that sector. Then you get back to turn 11 and 12 and it turns into a power section again, DJ, but two very different racetracks depending on what sector you're in, and you have to be good at both kinds, and that's what makes this track pretty challenging. On the surface, it looks like an easy place to drive, similar to Watkins Glen, where it's easy on the surface, but down deep, it is a challenging racetrack to get really good at.
Yeah, I think that is an absolutely spot-on comparison, and it really is a tale of two different circuits. And when we talk about the difference of corners here, I mean, there is no sort of more different corner sequence of corners than what we just saw Etienne Leger run on through, and that is the carousel, that long right-hander through 9 and 10, where you've really got to find your line perfectly, and depending on the downforce in the car that you're running, you're either able to take it flat out or you've got to do a little bit of feathering of the throttle. We've already talked about the kink. In most cars with modern downforce, including these Porsche Cup cars, you can take it flat out, but if you're riding behind another car like Leger is right now, may find yourself in a little bit of trouble. You may have to lift a little bit as a result of that aero wash, and I wouldn't be surprised if on the first or second or near the end of the race, if we see some drivers over push through that corner and just toe out over the line.
A lot of tire warming there by Racine Vizui and teammate Phil Bouchard in behind, really aggressively sweeping the tires and setting themselves up for a fast lap here. The 73 continues to do so now as they pass the 774 car on driver's right. That is Kevin Norris, who is currently 29th, but they're still warming up tires and setting themselves up for another lap. So surprising to see here. Almeida continues to hold provisional pole at a 207.001. Then La Charité in the 21 car, second. Vincent Trepanier, Vizui, and Caron. But as far as Phil Bouchard goes, still stuck in 17th. So I'm going to imagine that Racine is going to lead the 73, tow him along, and maybe get one or two more good laps in here to move that 73 up the order.
Yeah, that's how I got to be thinking what he is going to be doing, as well as that toe is going to be always crucial to be able to get. There we take another look at Bouchard, again, working with his teammate. They'll be in communication with one another, even though they are sitting directly across from one another. They'll be in electronic communication. It's not going to be a situation where Phil just sort of leans over and goes, hey, give me a draft. But they'll have a way to communicate and be able to get this run set perfectly.
Another shot there of the team center down there, Porsche Center Rive Sud, putting on an event here, watching the broadcast. And again, we really appreciate the Porsche Centers coming on board and investing their time and energy into this championship. It really has, if it wasn't legitimized enough already, DJ, it certainly has been now. So really neat shots here as Bouchard works his way down through the Kettle Moraine region of Wisconsin into the braking zone for Canada Corner, and setting himself up for maybe a couple more quick laps. Otherwise, other drivers that we should probably keep our eye on, Justin Ream probably hasn't gotten a really representative lap for Porsche Center Calgary. Here he comes across the stripe, and is it quicker? It is not. This is a warm-up, so we'll see if he can do one better. And another driver we've got to keep our eye on, as always, Jean-Guinan Renault, who has found victory lane a couple times this season, including last time out. So 8th place for him so far.
Yeah, and that's going to be a good spot to run from. I think here for the majority of these drivers, the goal is going to be up into about the top 12. That's where you're going to want to be, that you can realistically say you've got a chance of winning this race. If you're able to get into the top 12, you're going to be able to hold on to that long draft train that we're probably going to see start off at the drop of the green flag and maybe try to pick your way up through it. You start down 15th, around 20th, you may have to temper your expectations a little bit for race 1. When we get to that full-length 30-minute feature race, that could change everything.
Yeah, and we've seen the race, too, has been challenging from a passing perspective. The competition, DJ, is so incredibly close that drivers that will win the first race will have a lot of trouble moving forward. We even saw that last week with La Charité, who ended up moving his way up through the order, but it wasn't because he just necessarily passed everybody. There was a lot of attrition ahead of him as well last week at Spa. And we've seen this be a constant story from event to event, that the drivers that win race 1 kind of get buried in race number 2. Here at this racetrack, this is one of the easier places to pass, I think, so it won't be as big of a deal here, but I still expect that a driver that runs 3rd in race 1, maybe 4th, might still finish ahead of the driver that beats them in that first race just because they have that track position advantage.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Kyle, and especially considering that we will have draft trains starting to form. You're going to see plenty of drivers using that to that advantage, and that's a little bit of what we talk about when we talk about, the DRS train or things like that, where it's just car after car after car getting the same advantage in front of you, and so it sort of negates any of the advantage of the draft. Just right now, it looks like the 2 Porsche Center North Toronto drivers waiting for their opportunity to come down through Canada Corner. Very, very heads-up play for them as they just waited for that opening opportunity, didn't want to disrupt anybody's laps in front of them, and wanted to set themselves up perfectly.
Yeah, that's Chris McGraw chasing. Driver we're just looking at, Jean-Guinan Renault. Justin Ream jumps up to 21st place that time by. Phil Bouchard still runs 20th. Nathan Bartley improves to 14th place in the number 37. That's another Porsche Center Calgary car. That's a 2:07.922. And these are incredibly quick laps, by the way. I should mention, I've run this combination relatively recently and know how quick this is. Racine Fazoui's second, and Phil Bouchard improves to 6th that time by. So that was a strong effort there. Gets both those cars inside the top 10. Bouchard up 14 spots with that lap.
Yeah, very, very good running. And crucially here at this point, as we close down on the final 2.5 minutes of this qualifying session, we've got a couple of drivers that are in pit lane, which means they're not going to be able to set a time. Alex Ellis there out of 5th place. I also see Nicolas Michel, Adrian Palouche, Jean-Philippe Dubois, Riley Siebert, Carcioglu, and Burgett all down in pit lane here at this point. So they clearly think they're not going to be able to improve and don't want to risk anything by going out on track.
Yeah, again, we're not, because this is a heat format style competition in terms of the setup here in iRacing, which is the platform we're using for this competition, is when that timer runs out, the qualifying session is over. It's not like typical road racing where you have the time to complete a flyer once you start it when that timer runs out to 0. When the timer hits 0, we're going racing. So if you're not already on a fast lap, you're not going to get one now, unfortunately. So that's something to keep in mind. Here's Zoranetta Savage in 13th, the number 34 car. This is for Porsche Center Winnipeg, looking pretty neat and tidy right now, although this is not a fast lap, and so this will likely be the end of his qualifying session.
Yeah, but what he's going to be able to do here at this point is just build a little bit of rhythm and momentum and be able to put some things into the notebook. Track temperatures are a little bit toasty here right now. It's about 111 degrees Fahrenheit as they run, and so you've got to feel out the track a little bit more. With no traction control in these Porsche Cup cars, you really need to make sure that you have a full understanding of where you're going to have grip, where you're going to lose grip, and just going around and running around this circuit, that's the best way to be able to build up that knowledge.
Justin Ream improves to 18th place, and his teammate for Porsche Center Calgary improves as well. Top 10 for Nathan Bartley. Josh Manalo also just clinging to a top 5, or he was clinging to a top 10, gets bumped down. Jean-Guinan Renault improves to 6th. Alex Ellis 7th. Phil Bouchard improves to 3rd, so move the Porsche Center Reeves Sud cars to 2nd and 3rd. That'll be a strong start for them. With Suelio Almeida, that one quick lap at a 2:07 flat, DJ, that continues to be the fastest time of anybody.
Yeah, fastest time of asking by about 1/10.5. From there on back, though, I'm seeing very, very small margins of only a couple of hundredths of a second down through the rest of the field. And indeed, first all the way down to 19th, Kyle, only separated by a single second.
That is incredibly close. So then you have to go back another 9 or 10 spots to get 2 seconds off pace here. Stephen Warcup across the line. no improvement there as qualifying comes to a close here for the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada round number 6. We're all battling, well, I'm not, but the drivers are battling for prizing here this season. First place of the Drivers' Championship at season's end will receive a prize package that includes a spot at the Porsche Track Experience program at the 2-day performance level, bridging the gap from virtual to reality, as well as some gear from Tag Heuer and from Bose and some other Porsche Motorsport swag as well. Second place includes some Bose and some Porsche swag and some iRacing credit to use as well. Third place, the Drivers' Championship, some Porsche and Bose swag as well. And there is prizing basically all the way down through 6th through 20th, including some Porsche stuff and some iRacing credits. So all good stuff. Battling for this championship, we only have 3 rounds remaining here at Road America, Interlagos next week, and then CTMP in a couple weeks' time. That will be our season finale at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Back on home soil, a little bit across the border here tonight, though, DJ, as we head to Road America. Let's roll through our starting lineup here for tonight. This is going to kick things off with row number 1. It's going to be Suelio Almeida in the number 3, Racine Fazui in the number 58, DJ.
In second play, or third, in the second row, rather, it's going to be Phil Bouchard for Riv Sud, as well as Antoine Lacharite there for the Lausanne region.
Row number 3 is Vincent Trepanier in the number 87. He'll roll off in 5th place. Guillaume Levesque for Porsche Center Lausanne starts 6th in the 888.
In 7th, it's young Gagnon Renault there from the North Toronto Porsche Center with Alex Ellis to his outside in P8.
Row 5, Andrew Caron for Porsche Center Halifax in the number 06. And Giuliano Romagnolo for Porsche Center Oakville starts 10th in the number 55.
11th place is Nathan Bartley, a great qualifying there from the Calgary region driver with Josh Manolo moving his way up into 12th.
13th place, Etienne Leger for Porsche Center Mark Motors. And Simon Theriault for Porsche Center Victoria rolls off 14th in the number 89.
15th is the Winnipeg Porsche Center driver of Zoran Radisavage, followed by Gregory Hofson in 16th.
17th place is going to be Blake Townend in the number 57, and Justin Ream starts 18th in the number 7 for Porsche Center Calgary.
19th will be Gustavo Foisier there for the Victoria Center Porsche Center. Then it's Stephen Warcup in P20.
21st place is going to be Christopher Cook for Porsche Center Kelowna, and Nicolas Michel for Porsche Center Oakville starts 22nd in the number 11.
In the 337 and 23rd, it's Giovanni Romano for the Porsche Center London, and then it's Enzo Johansson there in the number 91.
In 25th place is Arnaud Genet in the Porsche Center Saskatchewan number 312, and Chris McGraw for Porsche Center North Toronto in the 379 starting 26th.
The number 70 of Adrian Paluch will line up in 27th, followed by Jean-Philippe Dubois for Porsche Center Saskatchewan in 28th.
29th place will be Josiah Farrow for Porsche Center London in the 915, and Kevin Norris starts 30th in the 774.
31st is the downtown Toronto Porsche Center driver of Nicky Chan, and then it's Liam Rositas in the 888 in 32nd.
His teammate will roll off alongside him. Riley Siebert for the number 12 team for Porsche Center Vancouver starts 33rd. Richard Hibbs 34th in the number 51.
Behind Richard, it's going to be Justin Nasir for the number 27 machine. Then it's Adrian Weirson in 36th.
In 37th, it's Koja Lesman for the Porsche Center Vaughn team in the number 97. And Burak Karsioglu, in his teammate, will roll off 38th in the number 39. And here's a surprise, DJ. Matt Adams, 40th place in the number 17 alongside Dylan Bourget.
Yeah, that's going to be a real question there on the field. And by the way, lining up tail end Charlie here today will be Alex Bergeron for Porsche Center Quebec. I'm going to be watching to see what Matt Adams does. That is the big surprise to me out of qualifying, is seeing him all the way down in the 30s and 40s. Not at all what we would expect from him.
No, certainly not. And I think he's going to have an interesting race one to charge through the field in just 15 minutes time. It's not a lot of time on the board to get the job done, but I'm sure he will pass a lot more cars than we might expect just because of how busy it is out here on the racetrack. So one half of a pace lap remaining here. It's a 4-mile course. We have a couple more minutes here, but you are watching the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada round number 6 from Road America in the virtual Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, in the iRacing simulator. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by DJ Clark. Thanks for joining us. 2 rounds remain after this one to determine our 2023 champion in this excellent esports championship, pitting these drivers against some of the best in Canada and teaming with Porsche centers from around the country. They have either nominated one of their employees or selected other drivers from the championship prior, so we have a lot of returning names to the series, but DJ, this is one of the most competitive championships I have seen in the iRacing service. That has not changed this year, but I think a favorite has emerged, and it's the number 21 of Antoine La Charité. And the goal everyone's trying to get to is to beat him and knock his lead back down to nothing.
Well, we've seen a little bit of a break in the armor here. Only able to qualify in 4th place coming into the coming into the sprint race. So that could be a little bit of an opportunity. But again, he's going to have his teammate right there around him to be able to help out. We're going to have to see here. This is also one of the first times that we've really seen Suelio Almeida sort of be back to Suelio, as it were. He's been a little bit off, obviously missed the last round, but even before that, he's had some off sessions, maybe some bad luck that's come his way. But I'm going to be keeping my eye on that number 3 to maybe scamper away in this race. Yeah,
I would agree. I think he's definitely back in form. And right up at the front, that's where Suelio has been. He's dominated this championship in the past. And I've talked at length about how over the years, as we've seen with these big esports championships, they've gotten progressively more competitive over the years. By the way, Matt Adams starting at the tail was a qualifying ban. Same thing with Alex Bergeron from incidents last week. So that's what that was all about, as they will start tail of the field. But there are 41 cars in Porsche 911 GT3 Cup of the 992 generation. Going to take the green flag here for the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada, Road America, the National Park of Speed. This place is the Jurassic Park of motorsport. To win here is critical for your championship, especially for those locked at the top. Here we go. Green flag flies, and we're racing at Road America for the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada.
We'll talk about a good getaway there from Suelio Almeida. He's immediately going to pull onto the left-hand side of the track. You saw Fazui try to take a little bit of a look down on him. We've got contact in the back.
There's a big crash. The 57, the 4 of War Cup, the 91's in it. They're piling up into turn number 1, and a big turn 1 incident, and Matt Adams is in it as well. The 17 car is in it. That is huge for the championship instances that he's involved in. We'll go back and look at this later, but up front, they're through turn 3 in the lead.
Yes, they are. Fazui trying to take a look here on Suelio Almeida. He's going to pull out to what will be the outside going down into turn 5. It doesn't quite look like he's got the overlap here at this point, but as he goes, he's certainly going to be trying to outbrake Almeida down into the corner. Looks like that's going to be a little bit of a look, but look at this, Kyle. We're Noah's Ark behind him.
Bill Bouchard side by side with the Levesque. Levesque drops the tires, so that's Bouchard rather, on the right side rumble strips, and he's going to lose another spot perhaps to Guillaume Levesque. Here comes Alex Ellis, teammate to the driver that was leading. Fazui leads now as they head through turn number 7 and down to turn 8. This is getting wild here, opening laps at Road America.
And I was watching that move happen. An absolute send there from Racim Fazui down to the inside of turn 6. Such a difficult corner to get right, but he made it work on Almeida. And look at this, still more side by side now coming down into the carousel.
Bouchard passed the 888. He lost the spot, then gained it back. You see him throttle up their mid-corner as he tries to put distance on those behind him. It's Guillaume Levesque and Alex Ellis who chases him now through the kink. This is not a corner you want to go through side by side on the opening lap. Here they come through the kink.
And here they fly on through. You see just how narrow those margins are that I was talking about. And with the aero wash coming into play for these drivers, it gets increasingly more difficult. We've got a little bit more side-by-side down through the field. That's Levesque trying to make a little bit of a move there on Alex Ellis. Going to send it in deep. He's got it done. And now Trepanier says, I'd like a little bit of that too.
Oh, this is going to get tight here through Bill Mitchell Bend. Trepanier backs out. You see how stressed out Alex Ellis is right now, totally focusing. Here comes a dive from Roman Yolo in behind. He started 10th. He's worked his way up to 7th place and slots ahead of the 87.
And a lot of drivers here trying to take advantage on this opening lap, get themselves into good position. It looks like the 18 there of Gagnon Renault going defensive against Josh Manolo, almost trying to pinch Manolo a little bit right up in front of them. That's going to be Caron and Trepanier as well going side by side. So much frantic action here on the opening lap.
The 18 on the inside line here. It's tough because the track's so flat. No camber here to help you corner, but he's cleared the 86 now. Behind him, trouble. Christopher Cook has found his way off into the gravel trap here at turn number 1. Let's have a look.
And I think this may just be a little bit of a situation of some jitters here. Too wide in front of him. He's got to check his momentum up. Coming down to the corner, that's going to obscure his braking zone. And looks like there he just kind of got unintentionally pinched down a little bit. I don't think he touched the grass. I think that was just some car contact, but he's still spinning, and there's another car off.
Yeah, there's another car off course as well. I didn't catch exactly which one it was. Zoran Radosavich in the 34. Wonder if there was additional contact when he was rejoining the racetrack. Oh, they come over the crest right there and gets squeezed with the 000 of Nicky Chan. And does he catch the wall? Just scrapes it there at the right side in the 34. So dramatic opening laps here. They're still battling back here. That's the 312 of Arnaud Genet.
And look at the damage on the front of that car. He's able to throttle it up to full speed. Oh, that's because the 34 there is crabbing heavily. You saw that coming down into the corner. It just kind of looked like it was driving in an angle. We call that crabbing. That's where the suspension just isn't quite hooked up right, and you try to point it in a straight line and the car wants to turn.
Yeah, that's Zoran Radosavich for Porsche Center Winnipeg. It has gone south very quickly. For Racine Fizui out front, he's looking very solid right now for Porsche Center Reeves Sud. Suelio Almeida second place, and he's got the championship leader hounding him from behind.
Yeah, this is Antoine that we ride on board with right now in the number 21, bringing the car out of Canada corner. You saw a little bit of dust kick up there at the exit. That's fine. That's normal. It's the grass that you've got to worry about, not necessarily the dirt. But I think this is going to really present a problem here for Almeida as he brings his way through the corners, as he wants to be focusing up ahead on trying to maximize his speed on Racine Fizui. But with the championship leader behind him, he has to be looking in his rearview mirrors as well.
Driving out the windshield and the rear view is exceptionally challenging. But they run 1, 2, 3 down the front straightaway. Little other battles kicking off in the background. Here's Andrew Caron in the 06. He's chasing, Vincent Trepanier and Giuliano Romagnolo.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a good battle there. The 06 of Caron just holding in line. Very difficult to get a move done down into that first corner. It's not nearly as much of a braking zone as you think it is. It's only a third or a fourth gear corner depending on what you're going into. And then coming down into turn 3 here, that's a pretty optimal overtaking opportunity, you'd think, from looking at it above, but the problem is you don't want to sacrifice your straight line speed coming down the moraine sweep, so better to keep it in line and make the attack here down the straightaway.
The Adrian Weirson doing just that, had the opportunity, had the run on the North Toronto car of Chris McGraw. Thought he'd wait a second here and watch now. Down the back straightaway, watch, he was losing ground, and here comes the slipstream. He's gaining ground now in that draft, and he's going to have a look to driver's left. Now to driver's right as the 379 goes defensive, squeezes him a little bit. They're going to touch, and McGraw is going to go slam into the concrete and back across the road.
And you have got to be so careful when you're driving down into turn 5, Kyle. That is the highest speed section of the track, and just the little merest of movement can cause an incident like this to happen. Gotta say, it looked like the 379 there did move in a little bit of response. We'll let race officials determine that later on.
Yeah, I would concur. We'll see how it gets dealt with, though, and it was almost a self-penalizing situation in that particular regard. But out front, the lead has grown slightly. Racine Fizui by 0.6 of a second. Almeida with La Charité right behind him here, and Romagnolo has his mirrors packed full of the 87 of Vincent Trepanier down into Canada corner.
Yeah, I've been watching this one. I thought Trepanier was going to have a little bit of an attack going down into Canada corner, but opts against doing that. Instead, he's just going to stay right up behind Romagnolo and not let any of that come to play. Romagnolo able to get a little bit of an advantage coming through Bill Mitchell Bend. Constantina up again. Now look at this. That is Caron inserting himself into this battle as well. There you can see out the rear view in that 06. I think this is going to be a little bit of the same situation we talked about with Suelio Almeida with Trepanier. He's got to be looking ahead at Romagnolo and behind on Caron, and that's going to sacrifice his lap times.
Nose to tail, everyone being pretty cautious now, it seems like, after that first lap incident. Well, we've got a moment. Let's go back and see if we can pick up exactly where this started. We're going to be 3 wide here. Big checkup, and you see Radosavich, I think, gets rear-ended by the 57. And then right here, they're going to squeeze together again. Oh, Christopher Cook moves right, and that's what triggers that whole situation there.
Yeah, and I get that impetus from Christopher Cook. You just kind of have that door open a little bit, and you want to try to push your way through it, but you've got to have better spatial awareness than that. You've got to know that you've got a car down to the inside and that you cannot be making any sudden braking moves.
Yeah, and that front straightaway is really tight, too. You're going so fast, and with the pit wall there, you're pretty blocked in. Not a lot of room to race here. This is tight. The 37 of Bartley, Josh Manalo in the 86, and Simon Theriault in the number 89, and here's Gregory Hoveson as well following all of this. Wow, that was tight out of turn 7.
very, very tight indeed, as now Hoveson's going to have a little bit of a look going down to the braking zone for turn 8. Another downhill break, bumping and banging there. Hoveson gets on by.
Yeah, he had the elbows out for sure there at turn number 8, moves himself up into 13th place after starting in 16th, so going the right direction. A little bit of a stack up behind him. Justin Ream in the 7, Gustavo Fauzier ahead of him, and Etienne Leger in the number 2. He has been the king of invert races this season. Has been run really, really well, but he's 7 spots outside of fully taking advantage of that invert, so he's got some work to do.
Well, he's only got about 7 minutes left to do it, and I think Etienne has got to be moving here as quickly as possible. A little bit of a look going down into the corner. That's going to be Justin Ream on Fauzier. He's going to be able to get it done, and now Legier is going to try to go for a move as well.
Yeah, 2 for 1 there. I don't even know if that was intentional there by Justin Ream. Looked like he got on the brakes and kind of skidded to the apex trying to avoid contact, but he took the spot and got it low down, so all fair is fair there. But with 6.5 minutes to go, any spot you can take, you're going to take while you can. As far as the invert, look at where Jean-Guinon Renault is, sitting comfortably in 10th. You want the points, certainly, from race 1, but those race 2 points count a little bit more. I'd be sitting pretty if I was Jean-Guinon Renault right now.
Yeah, I would be too as well, and I think that's going to be a very dangerous starting position for Gagnon Renault. We know how quick that number 18 is, and so if he's able to start at the pointy end of the field here for race number 2, that could be a little bit of a death knell for the rest of these drivers. But let's not count our chickens quite yet. He's still got about 5.5 minutes left to get around this track. He may still gain a couple of positions, but we're side by side up for P2.
And Almeida losing a spot here to La Charité into turn 5, door to door. And it looks like the 21's going to muscle his way by. Suelio chasing the car off the road for a moment, now tucks back into 3rd. That was a great pass there by the 21. Turn 5, a great opportunity. Sometimes you got to make those elbows real wide, though.
Yeah, sometimes you really got to get your elbows out there. And we've got a car around. That's the number 23 machine. That's Fauzier, and that's going to be on the exit of turn 5. And Legier is involved in it as well.
Yeah, there was a couple cars involved in this one, so let's go back and see how it all came to a head. This was actually a couple different situations here. Let's look from high above, entering turn number 5. There's Fauzier ahead. He's going to slip on the apex, gets hit from behind, and he's going to tag the 2 and spin back across the road there, DJ.
Yeah, a little bit of the domino effect coming into play there. I've got to say, Fauzier kind of dove that car a little bit deep, and I think what it was is it was a good overtaking opportunity, but he just got on the power a little bit too aggressively, spun those rear tires, and that's what kind of started that slow, lazy spin.
Oh, here's Trepanier to the inside of Romagnolo down to Canada corner. Really late on the brakes. Can he get the car stopped? Yes.
Able to get it stopped, able to get it pointed the right way. A brilliant move coming through Canada corner.
That was very brave and very quick-paced. I thought there was no way he could get the thing stopped with the brakes on this Porsche 911 GT3 Cup. Certainly up to the task. I just didn't know if Trepanier could get it stopped in time, and certainly he did. Andrew Caron in the 06, we've documented his progress so far. Well, 9th to 9th.
Yeah, he's staying where he is at this point, and I wonder if that's a little bit strategic. Maybe he recognizes that there's just too much speed on the drivers in front of him, and he doesn't want to sacrifice any time. And, well, if he stays where he is here, he'll be starting off in P2 in this second race.
I think that might be the play. If you can just linger right here, you're going to take almost full advantage of the invert and then just have everyone in your rear view for race number 2. So that will be something to keep in mind. A little bit deeper in the field here, Josiah Farrow in the 915. He is chasing his teammate from Porsche Center London right there. This is for 16th and 17th place. And Adrian Paluch, who did not qualify, he's up a whole bunch of spots. 27th up to, well, he didn't finish out his qualifying. 27th up to 18th for the 70.
That's a pretty impressive run here, and that really does go to show you just what you are able to do at a circuit like Road America, where you can make those overtakes. But I actually want to point out a driver that's right around this order. We talked about at the beginning, Matt Adams serving that penalty for qualifying. He is up a whopping 20 positions here, Kyle, all the way up into 20th place.
Despite being involved in that lap 1 front straightaway crash, too. You see all the damage on the right rear of the car. So he's been through the ringer a couple of times, but despite it, has moved up to 20th. The attrition level's been high, DJ. We started this race with 41 cars. We're down to 31 running on the racetrack, but certainly Matt Adams is doing the best he can with what he's got. And with race 2 and a little bit more time, he could be certainly a top 10 car by the end of the night, and that would be a great recovery after that qualifying ban from penalties last week.
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly what he wants to try to be banking on here at this point. as we focus in on the 58, Rasim Fazui doing what we've seen Rasim do many, many a times and giving those fans live on site a great sight as he is going to bring the car now out of that final corner here at this point. Lap time's at about 2:07. I think he's going to be coming to the white flag.
You see how focused he was through turn 14. You saw the grimace almost as he was wrestling that car across. As we come to the flag stand, there is the white flag. That means 1 lap to go across the stripe here for Rasim Fazui. With 2 minutes left on the board, he's got a 1-second differential over Antoine Lacheritte, excuse me.
And I think that should be enough to just buy him a little bit of breathing room, make him feel okay, and not have to worry too much. But as we've said, many areas on this Road America circuit that can catch you out if you are not ready for it. So he's still got to focus on in and make sure he's doing everything right.
Down the Moraine sweep down towards turn number 5. Fazui leads. Lacheritte, Almeida, Bouchard, and Guillaume Levesque. This would be a really good points day so far for Porsche Center Rive Sud. But also the car and team right behind him, Porsche Center Lausanne, with Lacheritte and Guillaume Levesque lingering right here as well. When we do that invert, that will be critical. And Alex Ellis and Almeida, both top 6 right now for Porsche Center Markham, certainly turning around last week. And a little bit of battle here between Manalo and Hovesen up towards turn 6.
Hovesen trying to be aggressive coming up into turn 6. He's going to be able to get ahead, and that's going to be the 89 trying to shove their way through as well. That's Thierry, and he is going to be able to get a good run, but not going quietly. Is Manolo still leaning on each other coming through 7?
You can't go through 7 side by side very effectively, yet they did. They are leaning on each other, trading some vinyl here through turn number 8 now. Dario clears the number 86, and Manalo moves himself up into 13th place. Meanwhile, up front for the final time in race 1, Fazui clears the kink. Right behind him, Lacheritte, just touching the grass there. That's such a high velocity area. If you drop a tire, you can end up crossing the racetrack and into those concrete barriers pretty darn quick, DJ.
Yeah, you certainly can, but thankfully here for Rasim Fazui having absolutely none of that as he now blasts his way towards Bill Mitchell Bend. Only a single corner here to go for the number 58. He is going to be looking at the checkered flag in the heat race from Road America.
Rasim Fazui chasing the championship, the guy he's trying to beat right behind him on the racetrack, but that's where he needs him. You see the fists going up, celebrating race 1 in the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada. Round number 6 goes to Rasim Fazui and Porsche Center Rive Sud. Lacheritte 2nd, Almeida 3rd. Then it's Phil Bouchard, his teammate 4th, Guillaume Levesque 5th, Alex Ellis, Trepanier, Romagnolo, Caron, and Yanganon Renault in 10th.
All right, that's going to be very, very crucial there for Gagnon Renault. As we said, that is going to be the invert, and that's going to be a very, very swift car up at the front of the field for this second heat race. As there we see your drivers live on screen doing a little bit of a victory lap around here. Celebrating here from Road America. The problem is there's just not that much time to celebrate because it all kicks off again in just a couple of moments. Here is a look at your results from race number 1. Here at Road America, we still have our longer race to go, but Rive Sud on top. Lausanne, Markham, Rive Sud, Lausanne, your top 5. Then another Markham car, Porsche Center, Edmonton, Oakville, Halifax, and North Toronto, the remainder of your top 10. And there's a look through the rest of the top 20. And despite that big one on the opening lap, DJ, not a ton of carnage in this race, which is a great thing to see. Yeah, it certainly is, and I think that's probably just that opening lap incident, just a result of some jitters here from these drivers, and really and truly, because you're coming in at such a high rate of knots down into corner 1, if you do have a little bit of a problem farther back in the field, you're unfortunately going to see exactly what we saw here today. But the great news for us and for race fans is we re-rack, restack, and do it all over again. Oh, it's going to be good news for us because I love going racing here at Road America, and it was fun so far. We're going to get to do it all over again here in just a couple minutes. But first, we got to talk to our race winner and the drivers that were chasing him down. We got to first find our race winner, which is Rasim Fazui. Let's pull him up here into the broadcast booth and chat with him very quickly. Rasim Fazui wins race number 1 here from Road America. Rasim off to a great start here tonight. It is a fun racetrack, a challenging racetrack, but keeping everyone in the mirrors in that one. Take us through your race.
Come. Hi. It's been a great race. Although Antoine caught me big time at the end. But there's a thing in iRacing, when you're in drafts, you get better tires, etc., etc. I'm not gonna politic. I took the opportunity when I could and when I saw it. because this league is cutthroat. So I became cutthroat, and I don't care. It was edgy with Swelio, but I'm going for it. So it is what it is.
Well, good stuff, Rasim. We're going to let you get back to work here because you have another race to go win. You'll be starting in 10th. Good luck to you. We'll watch you and be rooting for you.
Thank you. Cheers.
All right, so that was Rasim Fazui. I also want to talk to, I think a good driver to talk to would probably be Swelio Almeida, who was the driver that finished third in that race. And let's chat with him real quickly. Swelio, it's Kyle from the SimTV booth. You got a copy?
Yep. Hello.
Hi, welcome back. I know you were out last time out at Spa. It's good to have you back here in the booth. Running back where we'd expect you to run. Top 5 there, Swelio, but it is challenging to stick with those guys up in the front of you. What's the plan here to beat them in race number 2?
I'm gonna do my best. Honestly, I was actually surprised with the pole. The lap was really good, but the consistency is not there because of lack of preparation. It's been crazy traveling all over the place, and like I was able to put up like maybe 4 hours of practice. So I'm really happy with getting a P3 here. Honestly, I was already expecting them to be super strong on cold tires and on consistency. So basically, whenever I was nailing everything, they were just catching up. They were just like following me. But whenever I made one mistake, that's when they would not do that mistake and end up passing. So I expected to lose some positions. So losing only 2 and getting a podium is really, really good. I'm super happy.
Well, that's great, and certainly race number 2 with this invert is going to make things pretty exciting. We've seen the story this season be that race 2, it seems like it's challenging to move forward because it's just challenging to pass with how close everyone is. So what's the key here at Road America? Where are you going to find a place to pass? We know the obvious places, turns 1, 5, 8, maybe 12, but it is so difficult to find an advantage. Where do you think that you're better than everyone else?
It's pretty much track awareness, figuring out when people are gonna fight, and then maybe use that to your advantage. I think if no one is fighting, it's very difficult because of the dirty air. When you get like to 0.5, it's pretty much impossible to like catch up the guy ahead unless they make a mistake. So I think it's all gonna be about cold tires on the first few laps. People are gonna try some aggressive moves. We might have some pile ups right there. So that's your opportunity to gain more than one position in one lap. If not, you have to just be patient, see if people make mistakes, and then trigger a fight, and then you benefit from that fight. So it's all about patience.
Well, we'll see how it goes for you, Swelio. Best of luck to you, and hopefully we'll talk to you after race number 2. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
All right, so DJ, with that, we're going to get ourselves prepped here for our second race of the evening, and this is a slightly longer race. We didn't see a ton of carnage or issues in that first one other than the initial start, but that did clear out some of the field. So maybe, will this second race, you think we'll have a bit more spread across the race?
I think it will create a little bit more spread up and down through the field, but I think the other thing that's really going to come to play in this second race is you heard the drivers kind of mention it a little bit, but that's tire wear, Kyle. 30 minutes around Road America, this is known as a pretty high degradation surface because of the amount of high-speed corners and the lateral load you're putting in through the tires. Combine that with now a track temperature of 103 degrees, and you've got to be watching out for the tires to make sure you've got something to attack with at the end of the race.
And one of the things that we didn't really talk a whole lot about at the start of this, and this is because in iRacing here, maybe not quite the same effect as the real world. The track's certainly laser scanned and accurate, but one of the things here in the real world that really will ruffle your feathers is the curbing around here. But in iRacing, you don't necessarily have your actual chassis shaking around you, making you uncomfortable, breaking suspension components. So what that means is all that runoff, all those big curbings and rumble strips that you see located around the racetrack, that's all fair game to drive on, and that means that the racing line is a little wider here, which is good news if you're trying to make up positions because you see in the background underneath that Corvette bridge where that runoff is, those big rumble strips, DJ, that's places where you can put the car that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do in real life, and that means you can get a lot more aggressive here in the sim.
Yeah, you certainly can. And we should mention the other thing here that is coming, that has come to Road America, and that's a resurface. They have just done a resurfacing project here at the National Park of Speed, and we're hopefully going to be getting a rescan here soon with that new update. So we'll have to see as we go out into the world over the next the course of 2023 just how different this track is going to race, because putting down new asphalt on a place like this can wildly change the characteristics.
It can, and repave projects are always interesting because on the oval side of the world, they're known for making racetracks maybe not as good, but on the road racing side, that's a different story. Road America wasn't a place that was known for being particularly bumpy. Really, the reason for the repave was to help drainage in particular, but the side effect of that, and we saw the same exact scenario with Watkins Glen about 2015 or so 8 years or so ago. They did it for drainage reasons, and the surface was crumbling also. So you end up with a very grippy surface, very fast racetrack. Watkins Glen has the camber, Road America does not. So I think here you're going to feel that grip level change a lot more because you don't have the banking to lean on. So Road America is going to be a very different place. I don't think that they repaved the curbs, though, from all the footage that I've seen. So that means that characteristic will remain in 2024. Actually, 2023, I suppose. It's already done.
Yeah, I believe that it was completed in time for the marquee events to come out to Road America over this summer. So it should be all ready to go. And obviously, this is a favorite of racing series up and down the world. Just about everybody you can imagine that has a presence in North America comes to this track.
Here's a look at your starting lineup, left side of the screen. It is 40 cars deep. And Jean-Guinot Renault, again, one of the drivers, just like the two of Etienne Leger, that has really taken the invert and really used it a handful of times. And same with Vincent Trepanier. He's going to start in fourth. And Giuliano Romagnolo, who is in the mix at Spa, is going to get a new lease on life here in this particular race. And here's a driver that quietly lingers. It's Guillaume Levesque. Maybe not at the very pointy end all the time, but he is always there when it counts in race 2.
Yeah, he certainly is. And Levesque's driving style, frankly, always has reminded me a little bit of the professor himself, Alain Prost. Very, very calculating approach to it. You're not going to see Levesque throw it all away to go for a win. He's going to be happy to be able to get good points, and that's one of the reasons you see him doing so well in the championship is he hasn't really had a bad race thus far necessarily.
He has not. He's been in the mix. And again, as far as the points go, being consistent is very, very useful. There is a look at Porsche Center Rive Sud, who are waiting for their team drivers to go back up there and win again. That's Phil Bouchard and Racine Fizui. Racine collected one. See if Phil can do the other. He will start this race in 7th place. Again, big thanks to Porsche Center Rive Sud for offering this view to us and enjoying the view at the lovely Porsche Center down there. I wish I could be there, but I'm here in Chicago producing this event. DJ, you're off in California somewhere, but sim racing, iRacing brings people together, and so does the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada.
Yeah, it certainly does, and it's one of the great things about the iRacing service is that we are able to be across the entire continent here, being able to call this race, and it's such a blast. And once again, thank you to Porsche for putting this on, bringing us on board. Kyle, I got to tell you, this is always one of my favorite highlights of a week when we've got a race. I love coming in to see the best that Canada has to offer, duking it out on some of the great racing circuits in the world.
And Canada has some of the best road racing circuits in the world. You have to throw CTMP or Mosport into that mix, absolutely. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, we've already raced on this season. That's one of my favorite street courses. And there are some other really good racetracks in Canada that are not represented here in iRacing, hopefully someday. But we will finish our season as where we started on Canadian soil here in the iRacing Simulator, but now just across the border in Wisconsin, the good old US of A. And the cars rolling out of turn 14 here at the National Park of Speed. And the Porsche safety car makes the right-hand turn onto pit lane. This race is 30 minutes, should take us about 15 laps around this 4-mile circuit here in the Kettle Moraine region of Wisconsin. Here we go, Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada, round 6, race 2. Here we go, green flag.
And almost a little bit of contact there between Corona and Romagnolo as they jumped off at the line, but that's going to give a good start here to Guillaume Renault, fanning out in the back, thinking about 2, 3, 4 wide almost as they go down into the braking zone here. Noah's Ark looks like the first couple of corners are through nice and easily. Everybody else going to sort through. We're not going to see the same calamity we saw from race 1.
Great news, everybody through turns 1 and turn 2. Now turn 3, another trouble spot potentially. Big gains there by Matt Adams. I saw creeping through the field. He put his teammate 3 wide, heading down to turn number 1, and Vincent Trepanier offline, flashing the headlights, and we storm down towards turn number 5, and this is where it's going to get very interesting, but Jean-Guinon Renault leads the way. Caron second, and into turn 5, a little bit of a hip check in there from Ellis to the 888 of Levesque.
Yeah, they've been kind of duking it out a little bit. There was almost a little bit of a pump draft. Oh, big one, and that's going to collect part of the field.
Oh, that was an issue, and who was that he collected? That was Etienne Leger that he also tagged in that one. That was Justin Nasir, I believe. Yes, it was. We'll go back and look at that one a little bit later, but just got turned sideways and then just skidded across the track and went bowling there at turn 5.
Yeah, and I'm very interested here as we look back farther in the field right now. The 89 trying to take a little bit of a look down to the inside. That's Thierry making a move on Nathan Bartley. He's now going to have to go the long way around the carousel. Contact, twitching, and that's going to be Thierry off into the wall. Bartley collected it in as well.
More trouble this time into the gravel at the carousel. We'll look at that one later as well. Bookmarking it to check in on as we go back to the lead. Caron chasing Jean-Guinon Renault, and Roman Yolo sits third. Here's a dark horse from the season, the opening season of the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada back in 2021. He could be in this mix as well.
Yeah, Trepanier there you saw on the back of your screen having to go a little bit defensive on Alex Ellis coming down into Canada corner. But I'm very impressed here with Andrew Caron. I thought when Wade got away, when Jean-Guinon Renault got the green flag, that he was going to scamper off into the distance. Caron hustled that 06 machine around the first and second sector on this track. And by the time they got to the carousel, he was right back up with them. So that 06 has got some definite speed here today.
And in the slipstream now, so that will be an advantage to the trailing car down the front straightaway. Look at this, Alex Ellis in the background. He's going to pop out of line, look for a pass into turn number 1 on the 87. He tucks back in line, thinks better of it, but that's a pass we're going to see probably all day, is that draft and slipstream into that first corner.
Yeah, and I think that may have been a little bit of a miscalculated move there for him, as now Levesque is going to be looking very, very hungry behind him. But the one saving grace here for Alex Ellis is the fact that Suelio Almeida is directly behind him. Now, that's Ellis's teammate as the Markham Porsche Center drivers try to figure out where they're going in this draft. You see the long snake coming on through. Oh, we've got a pass for the lead.
Here comes Caron, late on the brakes into turn 5, gets the pass done, tucks it to the apex, and through to the lead. Great pass there by the number 06, the Porsche Center Halifax driver.
Textbook stuff there from Caron, setting up the draft, coming out of turn 3, sending it down into the corner, but Jean-Guinon Renault not letting this go quite yet. It looks like Foisier has had a problem farther back down in the field. Turn 5
has not been kind to Foisier tonight. Let's have a look. Hit from behind, the 124 sends him for a loop, and while we're here, let's go back and see what happened to Nasir down here at turn 5. Does he caught the grass there just a little bit on the brakes there, DJ, and that's what sent him back across the road and clobbered the 2 of Etienne Leger.
Yeah, and you saw him there that he kind of came back onto the circuit and then started to spin out. That's a result of the car not being fully planted when you get onto the brakes and that rear end just wanting to dance away a little bit. Again, no ABS on these cars, and so that means that it is a little bit more difficult for them to get stopped. But here comes Matt Adams working his way up forward in 11th place right now. He's up 8 positions.
That is incredible. We're 2 laps into this race. He started dead last in race number 1, had 15 minutes to climb, got to 19th, and now is almost knocking on the door of a top 10. And speaking of top 10, Racine Fazui sits there right now, and he has gone nowhere. The challenge of passing continues here in race number 2 as he chases La Charité and teammate Phil Bouchard up the front stretch.
Well, okay, I said earlier they were going to be in electronic communication with one another. Clearly, Racine looking to his left and just kind of calling out to his teammate there of Antoine as they race line astern right now at this point. Excuse me, Phil, as they race line astern here at this point. So trying to be able to see what they're going to be able to do here as they go. But good communication, that's the key to a good team race.
Running 8th and 10th right now and trying to move their way forward as battles continue ahead. Andrew Caron has put some distance on Jean-Guinon Renault, about 0.4 of a second, a little bit deeper in the field. The 124 of Adrian Weirson getting shuffled by Alex Bergeron, another driver that was unable to qualify tonight, started 35th in race 2. He's up to 20th already, so that's an even higher climb than Matt Adams saw. And Phil Bouchard, is he off course? He is slow at turn 5 and drops down to 12th. What happened to him?
I think he just got a little bit squirrely coming through turn 5 and maybe a little bit early onto the throttle. Let's jump back and take a look at the replay. No, excuse me. He had a little bit of how you doing there with, I believe, that may have been Suelio. Yeah.
Yeah, here's another look. He goes down, kind of dives in here a little bit late. Swelio turns in, and just not quite the space there for the 73. So they did tangle just a little bit, but did a good job of minimizing the damage, but did lose a couple of spots.
Yeah, did lose a little bit there, but he'll be able to gain that back up. Hopefully, he's going to find himself a little bit farther down in the order. We check on board right now with Racine Fazui, your winner from race 1, as he tries to work on the back of the 17 of Matt Adams. Here you see that little lift I was talking about, lifting out of the throttle, coming down into the kink, not wanting to pick up any deadly understeer rather. That's going to scupper a chance of him being able to make a pass down into Canada corner, but he's going to keep applying the pressure.
Yeah, it's not just the arrow that will understeer you there. It's just you not being able to see your mark to turn in. If you miss your mark by a foot, you're going to be wide by 10 at the exit. And I'll tell you what's wide 10 feet off the apex of the kink at Road America. It's a concrete wall. It's been there since 1955, and you're not going to move it by running into it, DJ.
No, you may send it backwards a little bit if you hit it hard enough, but it's not going to be enough that you're going to be able to carry on. And if you do hit that wall with that force, that is going to be day over. But Matt Adams right now looking in his rear view mirror, trying to see if he is going to be able to hold off this attack from Fazui. Fazui not going for the move down into the corner, but cutting that very, very tightly.
Yeah, he had both right side tires up on top of the curb there to try to hook the car and make it turn a little bit better, and that almost got him sideways. Chris McGraw, Adrian Weirson, Arnaud Genet, and Stephen Workup, all battling. Workup was involved in that lap 1 collision in the opening race, looking for spots here to kind of recoup at least some points tonight.
I got to say, that's a little bit over of an eager move for my liking this early on in the race, but Workup, credit where credit's due, makes it work. He's now looking like he's trying to pick up a little bit of a side draft there off of the 124 as they fly down the Moraine sweep. 3-wide contact!
Oh, and Richard Hibbs goes for a slide into the grass. He's trying to woe it down. Can he get it stopped? Slides across the nose of Enzo Johansson and into the runoff there for Richard Hibbs.
And Enzo is absolutely thanking his lucky day there at that point, because that was mere millimeters between himself and absolute disaster.
He will get back rolling without a whole lot of damage to the race car, but 3 wide and it just squeezes together. The track doesn't go straight down the back straight, DJ. It kind of undulates right to left to right, and you can't just drive straight. You have to follow the road, and if you're middle in that 3 wide scenario, it's kind of hard to have a reference point of how much room you've got. Trepanier's off in the kink. Wrestles it back on course, but that was about as close to crashing as I've seen any of the leaders so far.
How did he keep that under control? Let's take a look. Just goes up into the grass and keeps his foot in it. Vincent Trepanier, that man is feeling confident in his car.
Yeah, and right there, so you see exactly what you had to do is just straighten the wheel out. If you try to pull the car back on track, you're going to steer into the fence every single time. He did exactly what you're supposed to do. You go off track, you straighten the wheel out, you let the car settle, and you gently coax it back on course. Great save there by Trepanier. That might have saved his race as Ellis and Guillaume Levesque try to run him down.
Yeah, very well may have. He's still going to have a little bit of room to try to make up here to close down on that 55 right ahead of him. Interestingly here, the number 21 machine, Lacherie, able to set down the fastest lap of the race the last time of asking with a 2:07.787.
Yeah, really quick, and we know that, but being quick and finishing first are sometimes two different things. He does have a suite of cars ahead of him, Almeida, Levesque, and Alex Ellis, that are right in striking distance. And the critical piece here is finishing ahead of Racine Fazui, because he's the driver chasing him in the standings. And Racine knows that he's going to have to start beating this 21, and not by a little bit. He's going to have to start beating him 3, 4, 5 positions each race if he wants to beat him in the championship. Here comes Fazui to the inside of Adams into turn 5, and clean pass for the number 58.
Yeah, you saw Adams there really tried to defend it just about as long as he could, but I think he saw the writing on the wall and came in and covered that off and just slid in behind to try to go for an over-under, but good defense there from Fazui to break the car a little bit on the apex to prevent any of that happening. A lot of weaving going up in front here from the two teammates from Ellis and Almeida. They look like they are all over.
Oh, that is a Markham sandwich with Levesque in the middle, and Almeida is absolutely hounding him from behind. Here's the onboard from the number 3, the podium winner, third place from race 1, chasing Levesque and his teammate, and they about had Levesque crossed up there leaving turn 7, but now they're straightened back out, 20 minutes to go.
All right, let's see if Swilio is going to be able to get a little bit of a run here coming down into Canada corner. I think he's a little bit too far back. You see him kind of jinking to the outside of the inside.
Oh,
Interesting,
squeeze.
Levesque goes defensive there. And Almeida, I don't think was expecting him to give him a little bit more room, and Levesque had no intention of doing that.
Yeah, I think Swelio was going to try to break up along the outside of Levesque, and Levesque just crept over, left a couple of inches, and all that took was a few inches to put Almeida's left sides in the dirt. Great job to woe it down and not end up in the gravel trap there. And Canada Corner, if you go off there, you're doing about 160 miles an hour, and their runoff there is not very deep. You will hit a wall down there.
Yeah, you most certainly will, so you've got to be very careful about that. It's a bit of a theme here at Road America. If you go off, it is going to be a little bit of a problem. But right now, Trepigny trying to send a little bit of a block there on Alex Ellis, as Ellis tries to come up from behind. Excuse me, that's Roman Yolo throwing the block on Trepigny down into turn 1.
Yeah, Roman Yolo is just lingering behind young Gano Renault, so he's clinging to a podium right now. I bet you he'll fight for it. Gano Renault has not been able to run Caron back down. He did close in slightly, but has dropped back off the tailpipes of the 06. You see him weaving. He needs to grab another victory and continue what he has done earlier in the season. And establishing a little bit of distance, DJ, but it never feels safe.
No, it never, ever does at Road America. Until you are at least about 3 seconds up into the lead, then you can't feel safe. And I'll tell you who doesn't feel safe at all, and that is this gaggle of cars that we see right now. This could go just about any which way.
Charité chasing Almeida right now, heading down the hill towards turn number 8. Has the 3 in his sights here, the Pfaff colors. See a little bit of wonky rear end there. Almeida getting the power down early. Rear engine cars, and Porsche has campaigned rear engine 911s for decades, basically half a century. And man, what a layout, very unique, especially on the GT3 side of racing, where it is the only rear engine car. And it creates an interesting driving dynamic, and it's fun to watch these things squat and just get up and go off the corners with all that rear grip they have.
Yeah, and that's really because of the engine being over that rear axle. It puts so much weight. Here comes a dive down into Canada Corner. The 21 getting it done.
Well, he just forced Swelio off there. That was a little bit aggressive, but he's got places to be. Let's go back and have a look at what that looked like. Maybe we can get from high above here. I'm not sure it's going to be a great angle, but he just gets in there hot and kind of shuffles the 3 off course. And then right here has to accelerate on the rumble strip, tires bouncing up and down, and that'll drop Swelio down to 10th.
Yeah, that's very, very unfortunate for Swelio to be able to make that happen. But look at this, Matt Adams looking at a little bit of a good move here on Fazui. Fazui's going to go defensive, pull off to the inside, try to steal a little bit of the draft. Matt Adams looks like he's not going for it. Meanwhile, side by side between Ellis and Levesque as they come down through turn 1.
Side by side for 5th place. Ellis has the preferred line here, and Charité is just sizing these two up. Look at the run he's going to get now. He drops a tire at corner exit, but both of them in sight here, heading down towards turn 5.
I love the tenacity I'm seeing here from Charité. This is really, really impressive stuff as they continue to go. Ellis rather is going to be able to hold off down to the inside. He's going to try to beat later onto the binders in front of Levesque.
Oh, big dive from Matt Adams in contact, and Adams spins.
Oh, and that one was a little bit of the writing on the wall yet again there, Kyle, as I think he just got a little bit too late down onto the binders. Had to try to get out of the way there of the 58 of Fazui to try to move out of the way, and that clobbered him over the curbs, and that was enough to send him around.
I think he knew immediately that he was in too hot right here. And then the 58 slips over just a little bit, and Adams had to go to the inside. Spun himself out to not wreck the 21, but did make contact with the 58 of Fazui. I'm not sure that there was a lot of, or any damage as Ellis loses spot to Levesque. But yeah, certainly a dramatic moment down there at 5.
Very, very dramatic indeed. Is barely able to hold on to it, but now here comes a little bit of a think there from the 888 of Levesque going down into the kink, able to size that up right, and the move is on.
Here we go, side by side to Canada Corner. 4 cars under a blanket here, and they're banging doors, banging mirrors into Canada Corner.
Oh, I love to see this. Absolutely incredible stuff. Adams is going to be, or Ellis rather, is going to be able to hold that out for the moment. Now, is Levesque going to have any problems there from behind from his teammate? Let's see, and let's not also count out Razim Fazui, who is loving seeing all this battle in front of him.
These are all points ahead of him, and the championship leader is the car directly off his nose. Half the race is gone, half the race remains, but the race is on right now for 5th place. Ellis leads this pack of 4 down the front stretch.
And there you see Fazui checking his, what I can only assume is his relatives, but here comes Levesque with the move. That's going to bring La Charité behind him as well as they come down into the corner, sweeping around the outside as Levesque trying to make it work, almost leaning on each other. They're definitely leaning on each other at the end.
What a pass by the Triple Eight if he can cling to it. One car's off in the background there. I think that's Almeida who's had a big crash at the exit of turn number 1. We'll check in a moment. Let's just bookmark that and check in a little bit later. Meanwhile, look at this train down the back straightaway.
Almost bump drafting each other here as they try to close in on the back of Ellis. Fazui could be the one that's in best position if he decides to go for it. Wow, jinking out to the outside. Here we come down into the corner. Levesque trying to make the move, but I don't think he's going to hold it.
Big slip there from Levesque on corner exit, but he gets to the inside. The 5 chases him over to the left into turn 6 now, and Levesque has the preferred line. Out he pushes him off track.
Oh!
Wow.
That was a little bit naughty.
It certainly was.
To say.
Yeah, a little bit of a push and shove here. Here's another look from high above. Gets in there, gets to the apex, throttles up, and that was just muscling your way by. Elbows are out. That was a jab.
Yeah, that was definitely a jab, but I think some of it could be attributed to the fact that tires are starting to wear off here as we are halfway down in this race. But nevertheless, as it has been said before, all the time you have to leave the space. There was no space left there.
You can see the frustration on Alex Ellis' face, down to 10th place now as we go back up. This little tussle is not over just yet. Levesque, La Charité, and Fazui still nose to tail, and now throw Phil Bouchard in the mix as well. 2 teammates tangling here for 7th place. And in a moment ago, we saw Sueli Almeida go for a ride. Here's what happened here on the outside of the 15. Ovesen just got in really hot there, DJ, and got out into the gravel.
Yeah, just overcommitted there from Swolio. I think he's probably a little bit upset that he's farther back down in the field, trying to be able to get that move on Hovesen and just being offline a little bit as they run, and that's going to be enough to send him back down in the order. He's going to find himself in 13th.
No changes up front. Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada, round 6. Caron, Yongana Renault second, then Romagnolo, and he is under fire from Trepanier through turn 1.
Yes, he is. This is the battle for the final podium position. Going defensive there is Romagnolo. Trepanier going to look around the outside, but doing the smart thing there, keeping in line, keeping ready to be able to attack down the Moraine sweep.
Was very close heading into turn 1. We'll see if the same is true at 5 and how patient he's willing to be. There's still plenty of time left on the board, and just passing the 55 doesn't guarantee that you're going to drive away. So you better know you're going to drive away before you try to force something. Here's a look into 5, and he's going to tuck back in again.
Yeah, didn't quite have the run. Let's check back on La Charité here as he's going to look down into the corner going into turn 5, trying to see if he's going to be able to get anything. No, these 2 couplets of drivers here, they're going to stay in line. This is a 2-team battle here at this point as they run, and that could be a little bit interesting.
Yeah, this is Porsche Center Lausanne and Porsche Center Rive-Sud locked in a fight here, all for about 5th place, all for about 5 seconds behind this fight. This one is for the last step on the podium. Romagnolo's got it, and Trepanier wants it, and they continue to chase each other through the carousel and then into the kink here at high speed. Such probably the sketchiest corner on this racetrack. I've driven here once in a Spec Miata. This was a braking zone at 90 miles an hour. These drivers going through there at 140.
Absolutely remarkable. It really goes to show you the engineering and precision here that these Porsche these Porsche Cup cars have underneath them. It's very, very impressive stuff. And Romagnolo going to be able to hold out here for another day. Trepanier just not able to get the run down through Kettle Bottoms.
Well, the fire may be out, but the embers are still glowing here for this 5th place fight. Levesque, La Charité, Fazui, and Bouchard. And Bouchard has been a little bit quieter tonight than I would have perhaps expected, but maybe waiting for the flames to kick back up before he'll run through it and maybe pick up a top 5 somehow.
Yeah, maybe could be the case here. I can report the track temperatures have cooled by about 3 degrees Fahrenheit, so that means that these drivers are going to have a little bit more to lean on, but I wonder right now if they're just kind of trying to cool their own tires back down, not being as aggressive, and we're going to see those sparks start to fly and reignite the flame with about 5 minutes left to go.
You're going to get one more shot, and I mean one more push before the end of this race to see Matt Adams work his way back up to 17th. And the biggest shame about his slide and spin at turn 5 was all the progress he made before. Essentially got a race, and he has to do it all over again. He was up inside the top 10, and here comes that battle for 3rd again. Trepanier to drivers left into turn 5, and if he can outbreak the 55, he should get the spot. Looks like he will.
That's the best run Trepannier's had all day. Looking for the over-under there is Romagnolo, but once again, Trepanier doing a great job deliberately slowing the car down a little bit at the apex to prevent the overtake, to prevent that over-under from happening, and put Trepanier on the podium for now.
He's got it for the time being. Meanwhile, here is Lachernier's around the points leaders in the dirt at turn 6 and almost gets clobbered. He's back rolling, but tumbles down the order, and that is the best news that Racine Fazui could see all day long, because these are points, critical points, and wasn't contact from the 58. Uh-oh.
Oh, I'm not sure they like that, and we could be looking at another live.
Boy. Well, okay, so my take on this, we'll let the stewards decide as we always do. My take, there wasn't a lot of space here, DJ, but they did come together, didn't they?
They did. That one, and looking at it again, I would probably call that a little bit more of a racing incident. I think there was a little bit of a pinch and a little bit of a wide run there. Both drivers going for the same piece of real estate, making it a little bit difficult.
Championship is on the line. Sooner or later, you're going to make contact with your rival, but how do you rebound? Lacherité's got a little bit of a points lead. Let us remind you what it was coming into this night. This is the points after Spa last round. It was a 51-point gap, 416 for Lachérité and 365 for Racine Fazui. As it stands, that number is going to come down between the two, and there is only 8 minutes remaining in round 6 of 8 here in the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada.
Not a lot of time left here at the circuit, so the marbles are all still to play for here at this point as we watch that number 3 of Suelio Almeida working on the back of Christopher Cook here at this point. Remember, Suelio trying to regain from that a little bit of a problem we saw him have earlier on. I think he's going to be doing a pretty good job here, just focusing on the exit off of turn 3. He's able to get that in a little bit of a blink there for the 66 in front of him. That's not going to be something Suelio wants to see. Yeah,
that is an internet connection issue, and it is distracting to follow, that's for sure, if it's frequent enough. Wanted to highlight Christopher Cook's day here for the Porsche Center Kelowna team. 30th to 11th in this race so far. That's an incredible climb. Had some bad luck in race 1, got caught up in a collision, and he's almost inside the top 10 now. That's a great recovery.
Yeah, it's a very, very good recovery there for him, so he's going to be feeling pretty happy about that, I would have to imagine. And he may not be done yet. They're still relatively close up ahead of them to, that's Josh Manolo. So Cook may be in line here for a top 10.
There's Alex Ellis in the number 5, up in 9th place. And as far as the front runners go, Andrew Caron continues to lead this race by 1.4 seconds. Then it's Jean-Guinon Renault chasing him down. Vincent Trepanier, Romagnolo, who's off in the grass at the exit of the kink. Then it's Levesque, Fazui, Bouchard, Hovison, Ellis, and Manalo, the rest of your top 10.
Woo! And a lot of drivers playing it fast and loose with track limits there at the edge of the kink, and that's not going to be a slowdown.
Look out!
Yo, car off!
That's Lachérité, I believe, in the grass, trying to recover some time, almost threw it all away again.
And I think this is just an issue of pushing a little bit too hard. He was coming up behind that 915 of Josiah Farrow. Didn't get the turn-in point correctly, caught a little bit of the aero wash, and he is a lucky, lucky boy that he was able to hold on to it.
Oh, that was so close to the concrete wall there. Again, straightened the wheel, did a good job recovering, but almost threw it all away again. He stays 16th place with just 6 minutes to go. That's about 3 laps worth of time here at Road America, the National Park of Speed. And like I said, it's like a Jurassic Park of motorsports, and let me tell you, it will bite.
Yeah, it certainly will. And Kyle, we've got a race on our hands here for P2 at the moment, as they are getting very, very close to one another. Trepanier's been able to catch up to Gagnon Renault.
Look at his best lap. It was last lap, a 2:07.736. That is one of the fastest laps we've seen this race by a pretty significant margin. Here he comes to the inside of Jean-Guinon Renault, trying to outbreak the 18. The Porsche Center Toronto car does not get there, but it is on for second, as you mentioned.
Game is on. Let's see what he's able to do as they come up and into turn 6 at this point. You know, Renault having to play a little bit of rear guard here at this point. He's doing it well. You can see just how aggressive that 87 was coming through the line at turn 7. He is hungry.
Watch Jean-Guinon Renault focus. He is one of the drivers that will lean into his virtual turns. It's just the way that he drives. You see him lean to the right there as he heads through the carousel. And it's just fascinating to watch how much focus goes in. Quick glance up at the mirror to see if Trepanier is closing. And Romagnolo maybe is hoping that Trepanier doesn't get by, because if the 18's running slower, he can reel them both back in.
Yeah, he certainly could. We could see a little bit of a battle here start to play itself out with only under 5 minutes left to go. I think that we could see Romagnolo definitely trying to get involved in this conversation. I don't think Coron is nearly close enough to be caught in it, to be worried about it. We'll have to see here. It is Road America, and just about anything can happen.
No, the spider's web is on the 18 right now. Coron is well clear of it. He's going to fly away. He's actually extended his lead the last couple of laps. He's going to head up the hill here with 4 minutes and 21 seconds remaining. It's going to tick down about 4:12 at the line, and that should mean about 2 laps to go. Next time by, it's going to be pretty tight, but it should be 2 to go this time.
Yeah, lap times here are about a 2:08, so that is going to be 2 to go there for him. You saw a little bit of a poke there from behind from Vincent Trepanier, thinking about a move, not able to get it to go at that point, but certainly just trying to scare Gagnon Renault if he is able to do so whatsoever.
Yeah, he's well in the slipstream now, and you see everybody using all the racetrack, dropping the tires off the edges of the curbs, and he's going to have a look here. It's just a matter of what the 18 does to defend. Look at the slipstream. Look at how much ground he's going to gain. The 18 looks left. The 87 will be forced right. Here we go into the braking zone for 5.
All right, that's going to be Gagnon Renault holding that inside line, looking for the crossovers. Trepanier not going to get it to play. He's going to have to stay in line here as they go up into turn 6 right now, not seeing a move.
Yeah, that was well placed by the 18. Don perfectly put the car on the inside there and didn't blow the exit. That's the thing you have to worry about when you go defensive like that, is that you overdrive the middle of the corner and wash out and leave you vulnerable to that over-under, as you mentioned, but didn't do any of those things, and he's going to cling to second for the time being. Other battles have fizzled inside the top 10. Arnaud Genet and Chris McGraw battling. This is the teammate to the driver we were just watching, the number 379. And here's La Charité working by Josiah Farrow up into 15th place. Matt Adams back here as well, and this is the group of cars that was running a little bit better about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, they certainly have had better days, and you can actually see a little bit of damage there on that 17 of Matt Adams. Oh, a little bit off track, and they're coming through the carousel for the number 31 of Alex Bergeron. Looks like everybody's going to keep it clean and green through the kink, though. That's good news, as here comes Coron, your leader, with a 2.1 second gap on the rest of the field, coming to what we believe is going to be the white flag.
Yeah, Porsche Center Halifax, Andrew Coron heading up the hill here at Road America. The flagman should have the white flag in hand, and indeed he does, signifying 1 lap remaining. 4 miles left in the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada, round number 6. Vincent Trepanier sizing up Gagnon Renault, takes a look, but Jan doesn't fall for it just yet.
No, not yet, and I think this is going to be a little bit of a battle of seeing where Jan decides to go defensive, and Trepanier having to press his advantage at that moment as much as possible. We've got another nice little battle here farther back down in the field as we see some drivers trying to work their way up ahead. That's the number 21 down to the inside, able to get the move done.
Yeah, just trying to get anything he can after that slip up and contact a little while ago, up to 14th place, but critically, Racine is back up to P6. Those are some definite points on the line, and here comes the 87 into turn 5. Trepanier on the outside. Gagnon Renault defends beautifully once again at turn 5, though, and he will keep second place again for now.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff there from Gagnon Renault. Just let the car drift a little bit wide as here we have a little bit of a run down into the corner. That's Antoine with a great move, carrying good speed, and he's going to be able to get that to play over Justin Ream.
And Giovanni Romano wants a spot away from Ream as well. Porsche Center London team. He's got his teammate Farrow just behind him as well. I don't think the battle for second is over just yet. Trepanier is right on the heels of the 18. Big push there through the center of the carousel, though.
Big push as they come, but Trepanier might be a little bit too far back at this point. He's about 0.3 of a second back, and you need to be at about 2.5 by the time you run through the kink to make this work. He's been able to get it down, keeps his foot in it. Okay, it's game on.
Braking duel into Canada corner. Who's the latest of the late breakers? The 18 goes defensive. Here comes the 87. He's going to run out of tries here. 3 corners left. Can he cross them over? Brake lights on the 18, but Gagnon Renault, an excellent corner exit as they head now through Bill Mitchell Bend for the final time. Andrew Coron, though, on the advantage of the invert, sweeps through turn 14 And for Porsche Center Halifax, these race twos have been a magical combination with Caron behind the wheel. Up the hill for the final time, checkered flag at Road America. Andrew Caron for Porsche Center Halifax wins round 6, race 2 for Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada from Road America. And then behind them, Jean-Guinon Renault, Vincent Trepanier, Juliano Romagnolo, Guillaume Levesque, Racine Fazui, Phil Bouchard, Hovison, Ellis, Manalo, the rest of your top 10.
Very, very good, clean race there up in that top 10. We saw a lot of drivers putting some good moves on, but we cannot say enough on the day about Andrew Caron absolutely doing what he needed to do at the drop of the green flag. He had an advantage taken to him early on, got past Gagnon Renault, and never, ever looked back.
13 of 15 laps led by the number 06. And going all the way back to the first season, you know, this actually reminded me a lot of the first couple seasons we had here at the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada. At the time, it was a multi-class championship with GT4. Porsche 718 came in GT4 machinery as well. And driver behind him right now, Juliano Romagnolo, was in that championship. So was Guillaume Levesque. So was Jean-Guinon Renault, although Jan was in the GT4 category at that time. But some things change and some things stay the same. And what has stayed the same is that Andrew Caron is the race winner here in the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada.
And he is going to be very, very happy about that. I can guarantee you getting a win here at Road America is something you can hang your hat on for years to come.
Celebrations with burnouts down there at the Turn 5 runoff area. And that will wrap up the racing, but we are not done yet. Stick with us for a couple minutes while we talk to our winners and more. Here is a look at our race results for Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada round number 6. This is race 2 results. Andrew Caron, Jean-Guinon Renault, Vincent Trepanier on your podium, DJ.
Yeah, very, very good podium there from them. And I've got to say here, I'm very impressed with Trepanier. We really saw him come alive there. I thought Romagnolo had that third position locked down. Trepanier came alive and was able to put pressure onto the back of Gagnon Renault before the race was over. That's going to be one to watch out for.
Then down the rest of the list, Racine Fazui for Porsche Center Rive Sud. Again, they were on location at their Porsche Center with teammate Phil Bouchard. Great race in race 1, picks up a victory, 6th and 7th for race 2. I think in general they'll be disappointed with that race 2 result, but the news is they are battling a driver that did not finish in the top 10 in this second race, and that was the 21 of Antoine Lacharité, who did not get any wins this race and finished 13th in race 2. DJ determined to the championship. That's good news for the 58.
Yeah, that's very, very good news that Lacharité just had a bad race here today. That's going to keep the championship a little bit more wide open as things develop. And as we go into these final 2 or 3 rounds, it's going to be very, very crucial, I think, for Lacharité to be able to try to fight back on that and not let this bring him down.
And looking at the rest of the order here, Stephen Warkup just outside the top 20. Remember, he got caught up in that collision the opening race. Enzo Johansson went for a slide, or had someone slide across his nose here. There are some drivers that didn't have such good races. Etienne Leger for Porsche Center Mark Motors down at 26th. Not the result he was looking for.
No, certainly not. Not there for him, nor Zoran Radisavage farther back down. Arnaud Genet, as you already mentioned, a driver that I would have thought to have been a little bit higher up. Stephen Warkup really had to fight his way back up into that 21st position, but I think he'll be able to be okay to walk away with a 21st here, just knowing that he was able to get something resembling stable points.
Yeah, then here's the look at the last page of finishers here. Liam Rudzitas, we didn't really talk about him at all for Porsche Center downtown Toronto. Neither for Nicky Chan, but Gustavo Foisier had some trouble down there at Turn 5 in particular. Then Nathan Bartley and Simon Theriault also had some issues in this final race of the evening.
Yeah, they certainly did. As there you can see the drivers who were unable to finish on the day. A bit unfortunate. We'd love to see them get to the end, but that's just what happens in racing sometimes when you are this closely matched with the drivers around you.
Looking for, trying to track down Jean-Guinon Renault at the moment. He was one of the drivers I wanted to chat with. Found him finally. Let's first talk to, though, the driver that finished 3rd on the day. It's Vincent Trepanier, driver of the number 87. Brings it home in position number 3 for Porsche Center Edmonton. Vincent, take us through your races tonight. That final race was an epic battle there with Jan in the number 18. It had to be a blast. Take us through it.
Sorry guys, I'm a Frenchman from Quebec, so I'm very not good in English, but I will try my best. So sorry, I don't really understand your question. Yeah, can you just repeat, please?
Of course. That race was really exciting, chasing Jan in the number 18 towards the end. How exciting was it for you in the car to try to chase him down?
It was very exciting because I got the gap on Jan. I think it was between 2 or 3 laps. I was just in back of him, and I tried to push it to make a pass, but I don't want to make a crash with him. So I want to secure my first podium in the PESC. So I'm happy with it.
Well, awesome. First podium for you, Vincent. Thank you so much, and good luck to you in round number 7.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Good night. And let's talk with Jan Gunnar Renault, who brought his car home in second place tonight in race number 2. Jan, tonight, a really good fight there in that field inversion. Started on the pole, couldn't quite hang on to it, but take us through your battle there with Vincent and Andrew towards the end of that race.
Yeah, I guess I knew Andrew had a lot of pace, so I just wanted to stick behind him, and I just let him go. Still want to stick behind him, so we just pull away from the guy behind. I made some mistake, which caught up. Vincent caught me with the draft, and he had very good pace tonight. So it was very hard. The 4 last lap, I wanted them to go down quickly, but yeah, I managed to keep in second there.
Well, Porsche Center, North Toronto colors up inside the top 5. Jan, as we look forward to the rest of the schedule, we've got Interlagos up next week, and then we finish off at CTMP. This race 2 inversion stuff has been pretty good for you and your team. Do you think you can finish inside the podium on these next 2 races too?
Yeah, I guess that's the strategy, because I don't have the pace that the guys at the ASR has in the front and Q. So I'm just gonna try to make it to the top 10. Don't fight to make sure I start up in a good position for race 2, and then yeah, just try to make a good result for the main race. So that's the strategy for the next 2 rounds. Both of those tracks are not my track at all, so I'll just try to make the most of it.
Well, the number 18 Porsche Center North Toronto car comes home second. Jan, thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, I just want to say, if you guys want to see our paint in real life, go to the Instagram of Porsche Center North Toronto. Our guys there put up the paint on a real GT4 RS, so go check that out.
I will take that in my driveway, Jan. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. We'll
Bye-bye.
see you next time. Bye-bye. And Andrew Caron gets it done here for the number 016 Porsche Center Halifax Victory Lane. Andrew, take us through the battle tonight. You just got by Jan early in the race and drove away, but Road America, fun racetrack, and thankfully everyone was in your mirror in race 2.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, this track, it's a really, really good track. I think a lot of the people like it. There's a lot of draft, but if you really got the pace, I think you can actually create a gap. So that's what I was focusing on doing tonight. I mean, the heat didn't go my way, but I knew I would be up front for the feature. So that was really good on this part. Jan was having a really good pace. I think some mistake and some battling happened, so that's why it made it easier for me. But I think that was a really good race, and I'm really happy to be back again up front in the feature, so that it's going to be really good for my season.
Certainly, and there's 2 rounds remaining, Andrew. And again, the inversions have been kind to you so far. Best of luck to you at Interlagos and CTMP. We wish you the best.
Thanks a lot. I just want to thank Porsche Halifax, Advanced Motorsport, Perry Performance, and also I want to give a shout out to my teammate Greg, who finished 8th today. I think he's really doing a really great job keeping the team up in 3rd place in the dealer championship. So really good job this round.
Andrew, thanks so much. Congratulations. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
And finishing things out here from Road America, I want to give another shout out to Porsche Center Rive-Sud for giving us this inside picture there at the Porsche Center. Big thanks everyone for joining us there, track side, or I guess Porsche Center side. DJ, that's such a cool shot, and really appreciate Porsche Center Rive-Sud for giving us this inside look.
Yeah, very much so. It's always great to see those moments when you have the sim world and the real world start to kind of come together there. So massive, massive thank you to them for putting on a great event, and it looked like everybody had a great time.
It certainly did. Let's have one last look through our race results before we say goodbye until next week. Here is another look at the race results for race 2 of the night. Andrew Caron for Porsche Center Halifax getting it done. Yongana Renault, second place in. Vincent Trepanier for Porsche Center Edmonton. There's your podium for this race. One last flip through. DJ Road America never disappoints. It was exciting through and through. But next up, next week, is going to be Interlagos Circuit, a very different racetrack than the National Park of Speed.
A very different racetrack altogether, but kind of a little bit similar in what we talked about with the tale of two different circuits. You have the first and the third sector on that track that are all about power, all about speed, and then an incredibly tight and winding second sector and infield section that makes things very, very difficult. It's going to be a real challenge for all of these drivers.
Well, that is going to do it for us tonight here on the Porsche Twitch channel. If you have not yet, make sure you follow and subscribe to the Porsche Twitch channel and join us for round number 7 next week, May 11th, for Interlagos Circuit, the penultimate round of the championship for the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada. I'm Kyle Heyer with DJ Clark. We'll see you there in Brazil for Interlagos next week. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.